Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we're talking about Killers of the Flower Moon yet again. But this time it's not a 4 hour length film, as I had mentioned a couple of months ago, but it's actually 3.5 hours long. And that's probably not much better for the average consumer that goes to the movies. So on Twitter, there were a few people who complained about the film's length, and others that felt, hey, it's a Martin Scorsese movie. 3.5 hours is just more Scorsese for the rest of us. For some people, more Leonardo DiCaprio, maybe Robert De Niro, but I think Leo DiCaprio is being used as a selling point for this film. But I don't know how this film is going to fare at the box office. At 3.5 hour length, it's hard to say. The difference may be that, first of all, it's not streaming at the same time as Scorsese's other prior film, The Irishman, which was mostly streaming on Netflix and was shown in a couple of theaters, but not a whole lot. So it's not clear how much money that movie made overall. In theaters, it didn't do well because it was only shown a few, and not enough to justify its $200 million price tag. In the case of Killers of the Flower Moon, I believe the budget is $250 million. And this is from Apple TV. But it's not streaming at the same time, as far as I know. I think it's just in theaters only. So the question is, well, Leonardo DiCaprio was not in The Irishman. I can assure you, if Leonardo DiCaprio was in The Irishman, if he had the lead, imagine that, that film would have been shown in theaters, regardless of the movie theaters having issues with Netflix because they show their films primarily on Netflix. They don't really show films in theaters. And they started to do that, and I don't think they are still doing that, but nonetheless. People will see, though, and without much criticism, a 4 hour Zack Snyder version or cut of Justice League that was shown on HBO Max and not in theaters, and people were fine with it. They seemed fine with it. They were willing to sit through it. Now, watching something at home, you have the chance to stop, and then you continue watching on another day. So some people could have possibly watched the first 2 hours of Justice League and then leave it for the following night to watch again the rest of it. I don't know. But there are people I know who will spend a good 5-6 hours binge watching an entire season of some show. But you ask them to watch a 3.5 hour movie, which is not about superheroes at all, and nothing against that. I'm not belittling the genre. I'm just saying about the Osage County Native Americans, based on a true story. It's historical. Deals with the FBI. It's the early 20th century. And it's told from the Osage Native Americans' point of view. That may not be enough of a selling point, despite Leonardo DiCaprio being in the picture, along with Robert De Niro and Lily Gladstone, but basically the selling point, I mean, let's face it, is Leonardo DiCaprio. Reminds me of a time when I remember seeing the movie 12 Years a Slave, and there was this woman who looked at the poster of that film prior to entering the theater. I don't know if she was going to see it. She says, oh, that's that Brad Pitt movie. Well, Brad Pitt didn't have that big a role in that movie, and it's not his movie. But nonetheless. So the last time that this has happened, and I mentioned this before in another video, was Hamlet by Kenneth Branagh, which was a 4 hour film, and that was shown with intermission. There's no intermission for Killers of the Flower Moon, as far as I know. They don't really do intermissions anymore. And I think the problem is that they feel maybe if there's an intermission, people will walk out of the theater and not come back. Which, by the way, is something that happened with Grindhouse. The 2007 film that was 2 different movies for 3 hours, and the first one by Robert Rodriguez, and then the second one by Quentin Tarantino. And a lot of people left after the first movie. They didn't stick around, realizing there was another movie still to watch. So, that could happen. But I don't know how this movie is going to do. I can't. It's hard to say. But then again, people turned out for Oppenheimer, which is the, speaking of box office facts, it is the only movie to do extremely well at the box office, break even and then some, and never get to be #1 at the box office in all the weeks that it played. That's very interesting to me. But people went to see it. I didn't think people were going to see Oppenheimer. But this is a tougher subject, I think. Quite frankly, I still don't understand how Oppenheimer did well. It's nothing against the movie. It's just interesting. I mean, how did that happen? But maybe people wanted to see something different. Maybe who knows what. I don't know. I can't explain that one. The Killers of the Flower Moon that's tough. And that falls in line with Martin Scorsese. Usually he chooses tough subjects. So a 3.5-hour movie about that is certainly I'm interested in seeing it because I've seen long movies before in theaters. Would I like an intermission? I don't know. I suppose that might be beneficial to some. I'm not sure that with Martin Scorsese, he could make Wolf of Wall Street, depending on your point of view, a 3-hour movie, also starring Leonardo DiCaprio. That 3-hour movie flew by like that. It didn't even feel like 3 hours. For some, this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, doesn't feel like 3.5. It feels like a 2-hour movie. And so that's good news. I mean, obviously, it may be something that is mesmerizing enough and catches your attention without losing your attention at all. And you may not even realize how much time has elapsed. That's a good thing. But whether or not that's going to help this movie, I don't know. I don't think this is a Friday night movie for young people, because it's not your traditional Leonardo DiCaprio movie, whatever that is. I don't know what's a traditional Leo DiCaprio movie, but he is technically not exactly the main star of the movie. And this is different from the book. So I don't know what's going to happen. So let me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Would you be interested in seeing Killers of the Flower Moon? And if not, tell me why. And which 3-hour movies you think would work or have worked for you that you've seen in theaters? Or do you think 3 hours is way too long, or 3 hours plus? Gone with the Wind, as controversial as that picture is still one of the most popular movies ever made, if not the most popular box office hit of all time. And that film ran over 4.5 hours long. That's including the intermission. So, I don't know, but that was a different time, 1939. Now we're in 2023, and people like to watch things at home. Sometimes I like that too, but nothing compares to the theatrical experience. So, let me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Tell me about some long movies you've seen that felt too long, or just right, or whatever, or about this movie. Let me your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I have a lot of subscribers, which I'm really glad. Over 2,100. It's pretty cool. I think close to 2,200 at this point. So that's good. Reviews are forthcoming. I haven't really reviewed anything yet. I mean, I've been watching films, so I haven't reviewed them on this channel. But I will be doing that very shortly. This is just a thought I wanted to share and see what people think. And if you have subscribed to my channel, thank you. And please hit that notification bell for any future uploads when they come out. And this is Jerry Saravia the Movies, signing off.